Some 200 miles southeast of Honolulu is an island called Hawaii, the Big Island. Hawaii, the home of fiery volcanoes, ruled according to legend by the goddess of fire, Pele. Pele is the most feared and respected Hawaiian deity. Her eruptive performances are truly one of the most awesome events on Earth. The capital of the island of Hawaii is Hilo, nestled in a bay on the eastern shore. Hilo is flanked by 3 volcanoes, 2 of which are active. To the west is Mauna Kea, in repose for the last 3,600 years. When measured from the ocean floor, Mauna Kea stands approximately 32,000 feet, making it the tallest mountain on Earth. To the southwest of Hilo stands the largest mountain on Earth, Mauna Loa. This volcano is currently active, most recently threatening Hilo in 1984. Dwarfed by these 2 giants is Kilauea, almost due south of Hilo. While much smaller, it is growing rapidly and now is in fact the most active volcano on Earth. Between January 3rd, 1983 and June 26, 1986, for 3.5 years, Kilauea's volcanic activity is confined to the East Rift Zone. Most of the eruptions have centered here at the Pu'u'o'o vent, about 12 miles east of the Kilauea crater. By mid-1985, after only 2.5 years of activity, Kilauea has produced the largest volume of lava of any single Hawaiian eruption in history. 47 times in 42 months, Pele sends lava fountaining skyward, at times nearly as high as 2,000 feet. By the end of the 47th phase, in late June of 1986, the Pu'u'o'o vent has built a cone over 830 feet high. It is now the highest volcanic landform of historic age in Hawaii. Volcanic activity has formed over 80% of the Earth's surface and 100% of the Hawaiian Islands. This birth of the Earth has made a lasting impression on those fortunate few who have seen the goddess in action. Superstition, curiosity, fear, and reverence are but a few of the emotions stirred in man by volcano watching since ancient times. And today, thousands of visitors from all over the world come to the Big Island of Hawaii to catch a glimpse of Kilauea, the most active volcano in the world.
Look at honey. Look at it, boy, wow. I know.
Yeah, now it's starting.
Really, look at, oh my God. Isn't that neat? Oh, look at it, just look at it. I thought it would be coming out of the top.
A buildup of pressure followed by a sudden release causes these spectacular lava fountains. Kilauea is considered a gentle volcano, but even a gentle giant can be deadly. In 1983 and 1984, episodes like these destroyed 18 structures in nearby residential subdivisions. Just as the first 47 eruptions from the East Rift Zone occur almost monthly, so does the 48th. But this time, Pele changes her tune. Fires dance within Pu'u'o'o, but no lava comes out of the vent on July 18th, 1986. Instead, the base of the cone cracks open. Like gigantic seams, the earth opens in fissures. Rows of lava fountains known as curtains or walls of fire send hot rock from 10 to 150 feet into the air in a spectacular display. The activity continues into the night and becomes even more beautiful. The glow lights up the sky. Molten rock jumps from cracks in the earth. Methane gas, created when trees decompose without oxygen, causes explosions which sparkle like diamonds at the head of the lava flows. This is how Hawaiian volcanic eruptions typically begin, and in this case, how eruptions from the Pu'u'o'o vent end, at least temporarily, or perhaps forever. Overnight, the eruptive activity momentarily stops, but a high volume of lava output causes fires downslope for the next 2 days. These prompt the National Park Service to enlist the aid of helicopters to drop seawater on the endangered woods. On July 20th, 1986, John Greenway of Hilo Bay Air spots a new area of volcanic activity.
We finished off a few hot spots in the morning, about 6 o'clock, and park folks decided they better go up there and have a little reconnaissance. We went up about 8:20, and lava was just starting to ooze out of the ground. And as we circled it, it just increased until it was finally starting to spit and spout and became very active.
On Tuesday, July 22nd, the curtain is reduced to 100 feet, and by this time is merely gurgling or percolating and looks somewhat like sun flares. At this point, scientists feel the eruption may be over, but actually the 48th phase is only in its infancy. By month's end, Pele is oozing out lava that cuts into fern and ohia forests around the clock, steaming, smoking, and stinking. John Greenway's discovery is to become a lake, feeding lava flows that will eventually destroy 28 homes and millions of dollars worth of property on its relentless march to the sea. A journey many residents knew was an unpleasant possibility, but very few ever really expected. By mid-September 1986, the newly formed vent, now called the sea vent, has shielded to a height of 135 feet. The shield is formed like a turtle shell, created by a nearly constant flow of lava. Scientists generally agree that the magma, or underground lava feeding Kilauea's eruptions, comes from about 40 miles below the Earth's surface. At the rate of about 500,000 cubic yards each day, the magma is fed from a reservoir through conduits. It surfaces at the vent, filling the lava lake like a spring feeds a pond. When magma surfaces, it becomes lava. Lava takes one of two forms: pahoehoe, which is smooth, ropey, or billowy, and may flow quickly, and a'a, which is jagged, crumbly, and generally slower moving. Repeated overflows from the new lake continue to raise its own level, building rock around itself as it erupts. Meantime, downslope, the flows are destroying some forested areas, but posing no threat to the communities by the ocean, Kalapana and Kapa'ahu, at least not yet. Activity at the sea vent, however, continues, with lava in constant motion. Lava spattering is common in these lakes. Less frequently, spattering activity literally moves across the pond, a somewhat eerie occurrence that gives the appearance of something alive, splashing and thrashing its way through the hot liquid rock. This particular lake is formed at the 2,200-foot level of Kilauea Volcano. The daily level of lava varies from nearly empty to overflowing, depending on when and where the lava is draining away. Most commonly, the flow is channeled eastward, gushing into a huge glowing cave, the primary lava tube of the sea vent, some 15 to 25 feet in diameter. Lava tubes are formed during long eruptions when lava is channeled into main streams. Flowing steadily, perhaps for days at a time, they may develop a solid crust or roof. Gradually, they transform themselves into streams of molten rock within lava tubes. This particular tube, the beginning of the primary tube, has now collapsed, exposing the river of lava within. Soon it will reform and once again be a whole tube. Because walls and roofs of these tubes are such good thermal insulators, lava flowing through them can remain hot and fluid much longer than surface flows. This is precisely why the 48th eruption is able to make its way to the Pacific Ocean. Tubes transport the molten lava several miles before it resurfaces. Breaks in the tubes are called windows or skylights. These allow us to catch momentary glimpses inside the fiery streams. Most of the time, the tube network is diverse, spreading the lava out over a large area and diluting its power to create long, massive flows. But when the system comes together and pumps the liquid rock out in just one area, the flows can become concentrated, move farther and faster, with much more disastrous results. For 4 months, Pele's lava lake, 14 miles downslope from Kilauea crater, continues to grow, sometimes overflowing and shielding, but more importantly, building its tube system, the key to her long run to the sea. By early November of 1986, flows exiting the tube system become more frequent and at lower elevations. On November 20th, scientists and residents watch hesitantly as the flows get closer and closer to the Kapa'ahu area. By the next morning, lava is at the 550-foot level. Out of the ohia forest into the palms and mangoes, and very close to 7 evacuated homes. Over the next 2 days, the flows gradually burn their way through the jungle, moving steadily toward the Kalapana Highway. By night, the residents below watch the glow increase as the forest is unable to contain Pele's advance. On November 25th, Pele makes her push to the highway. Scientists monitoring the lake notice strong movement and low level, indicating no blockage of the system. The volcano is still pumping out from 1/2 to 3/4 of a million cubic yards of lava each day. The beautiful area of Kapa'ahu is in serious danger. That night, the hillside is ablaze with fires, flows, and explosions. The fireworks display of the goddess Pele. By 6 o'clock the morning of November 26th, the fluid rock has risen to meet Highway 130 about 1/2 mile south of its initial encounter the previous night. She takes a full hour to cross the Kalapana Highway with a 100-foot swath in front of the home of Louis and Rebecca Powell. But Pele's threat is now to the rest of Kapa'ahu, specifically 6 homes in a row above the highway. A fresh flow moving southbound is to do the damage. Louis and Rebecca Powell have lived in this house for 30 years. As the lava creeps across the road this morning, all seems lost. But the bulk of the lava mass is moving south. The Powell house is threatened but spared for the time being. Firemen pour water on the flow. This slows its advance and reduces the threat of brush fires from the intense heat. It works, for now. By noon, she has found her way to the home of Emma Kauhi. Before the lava even touches the house, it bursts into flames. Several explosions occur a few minutes into the blaze, and the house goes up like a matchbox. In 15 minutes, the house is leveled. Nothing left but a tin roof and smoking lava. 4 homes are gone by sunset. By 7 that evening, the 5th house is incinerated. A tube opening adjacent to the home aids in the quick demolition. Still another tube flow surfaces nearly on top of the road. It snakes its way through the Ocean Palisades estates, beginning to cover the Waiaka ponds. Later that night, 3 more homes are destroyed. The next morning, Thanksgiving Day, November 27th, the Kapa'ahu area looks like a battleground. A haze called fog, smoke and volcanic particles, covers the area. Pele has covered over a half-mile of state-owned highway, burned 8 homes, and blanketed dozens of acres of gorgeous property. The powerhouse still stands. Firemen continue to pour water on the flows, which make little progress, but Pele is not finished. She is now approaching the home of Doris Armbruster. Having devastated the Fraser property across the street, the Armbruster home is the only structure between the flow and the Pacific Ocean. From inside the house, the raging volcano looks like a nightmare, a scene from a war movie or a spine-tingling midnight thriller. A fire hydrant puts out boiling hot water. A child's swing sways in the volcanic breeze, soon to be gone forever. Just beyond the Armbruster house, the flows threaten beautiful and historic Punalu'u, the Queen's Bath. For days, local residents wonder whether their popular swimming hole will be no more. Pele brings her molten mass within 400 feet of the ancient water pool. She then turns seaward to fill in more of the Waiaka ponds, a series of tidal pools known as the King's Bath. It is here that she makes history on the 28th of November, 1986. Hot lava had not hit the Pacific Ocean since the Mauna Ulu eruption of 1973. But as rainbows fill the sky, Pele once again meets her sister, the goddess of the sea, Namaka Okahai. For over a week, the hot liquid rock tumbles, drips, and pours into the sea. Erosion occurs immediately. Cool seawater and hot molten lava flash into steam, causing literal explosions. This phenomenon triggers an explosive spray of fragments, creating an instant beach, totally of volcanic origin. What has been destruction now becomes construction. The old beach is destroyed, another is created. This swimmer walks out onto a one-day-old pebble beach that is gone the following day, replaced by still more lava rock and yet another beach. The National Park Service establishes a viewing area on a small knoll nearby. 4,000 visitors each day watch the spectacle, one which is equally fantastic above and below the water. These are tongues of pillow lava, special structures that form when molten lava flows into the ocean. The crust quickly solidifies, splits open, then solidifies again. In this way, it submarines along like toothpaste being squeezed out of a tube, or cracking like the egg of an alien creature. The goddess rests briefly on the first day of December, but she's far from finished. Overnight, the Pow house is finally taken, exactly 1 week from the initial threat. Meanwhile, the Roberts family works frantically to save their orchids. They cut and load the flowers onto a semi-trailer, but ironically, their flower garden is the only thing left untouched. Once again, the seemingly endless delay. And then, early December 8th, the Roberts house is overtaken. The 11th and final house lost in the nearly 2-week onslaught. A fitting end to all the destruction comes at the ocean's edge, where the goddesses collide once more. Violent, literal explosions occur almost on top of one another in a spectacular display. By evening, the battle is at its peak. So Pele has once again come to see Namaka, but her thirst is apparently not quenched. Local residents say this eruptive phase will stop when the lava hits the ocean. How wrong they are. Activity now becomes sporadic downslope, apparently because of a blockage in the tube system. Hot lava is unable to get out of the lake fast enough and begins to overflow regularly. The ocean is quiet now, the additional 18 acres of land making an obvious change in the shoreline of the area. This is the coast before November 28th, and just 1 week later. On a minute-to-minute basis, Pele performs her magic. She alters the scenery repeatedly and radically. Formation, obliteration, recreation. These we present to you as Volcanoscapes. As if signaling the beginning of a new destructive phase, Pele shapes an uncommon feature in the Pohoihoi flow exiting the lake. This dome lasts but a few hours, only as long as conditions remain the same, a constant flow of lava and a low, stable pressure of gas. On December 16th, downslope flows concentrate again. For a short while, the molten mass is delayed by the thick ohia forest at the 1,000-foot level, but the trees can only delay the inevitable for so long. Just past the forest is sloping grassland less than 1/2 mile from 4 homes and a religious sanctuary. The next morning finds the lava racing between the 3 major homes on Keone Road. The 12th home is in the final stages of destruction by phase 48, and the religious sanctuary is sealed forever under tons of lava rock. The well-channeled flows are moving very quickly now, sparing the 2 homes on the outside, but creeping laterally ever so slowly toward the middle house. It is now isolated in a kipuka, an area left untouched but surrounded by 2 flows. The lava cuts through the grassland so quickly that it covers the grasses before they can ignite and pushes an accretionary ball forward. This 8-foot diameter ball of fire rolls down the slope like a red-hot snowball, getting bigger as it goes. Evening once again brings on the drama of Pele's light show. Trees burst into flame as a multitude of flows seem to come from every direction, but all are channeled into one major 300-foot wide flow that is now rapidly approaching Highway 130. Early the next morning, the middle home near Keone Road burns. Moments later, a very hot tub and a refrigerator are all that is left. The lake is overflowing again, indicating a blockage in the tubes, a good sign for Kalapana, but perhaps a day too late. The flow has started a row of brush fires only a quarter mile from the road. The bees from these hives must now find a new home. As they flee, civil defense calls for the largest evacuation in the history of this eruption. Between 150 and 175 people leave their homes. They take what they can move before dark, December 18th. The A'a moves more slowly now, but by noon crosses the road and enters the Kalapana Gardens subdivision. One homeowner even took his house apart, piece by piece, to escape the inevitable. As evening comes, the A'a grinds to a halt, but in its footsteps lurks the most destructive single Pohoihoi flow of 1986. Now witness why Pele is the most feared and respected deity in Hawaii. Overnight, she crosses the road again, this time with a new flow, pouring fiery lava into Kalapana in a ruthless assault. One after another, homes go up in flames. Trees fall, homes collapse, dreams shatter. This home takes less than a minute and a half before it is totally engulfed in flames. By day's end, 13 homes are destroyed. The next day, 4 more. Then, as suddenly as she began, she stops. But not before the damage is done, so quickly, so dramatically. Between Thanksgiving and Christmas of 1986, the volcano has destroyed 28 homes, caused over $5 million in property damage, and covered over a mile of the Kalapana Highway. But the sea vent is still very, very active. As of this writing, scientists are still measuring the output of the volcanic lake at over 500,000 cubic yards per day. A similar vent, Mauna Ulu, continued like this for 5 years, from 1969 to 1974. This vent began its phase 48, the current eruption, in July 1986. If you are like many volcano watchers, these images will stimulate dreams. The visions of the volcano streaming back into the mind and soul. The goddess is destructive, but also constructive. Ugly, but beautiful. Colorless, but colorful. In many ways, the volcano is a microcosm of life itself. The source, the universe, manifest in the goddess of fire, Pele.